What's going on, everybody? Now, after putting all my efforts building C0 Escoffier by cloning both her skills and giving her the best artifact pieces I could find, I have to say, I'm actually very surprised with her performance in a good way. One of the best part with Escoffier is that even if you don't follow her rules of restriction, she's still one of the strongest sub DPS in the game. Honestly, that's just crazy when you think about it, because it means that she's actually universally good in all kinds of teams, not just the pure Hydro Cryo team. Slap her into any teams that need sub DPS and healing, and she'll work like a charm. Besides, the weapon I gave her is not even the best for damage yet, as it comes with the ER substat. So for teams when you don't necessarily need her healing, her damage is gonna be even more cracked. But personally, I prefer the balance between damage and healing, which is why I'll stick with the R1 Mountain Bolt for the rest of this video. By the way, just to let you know, she's actually quite energy hungry, so stacking ER is not a bad idea at all. Now speaking about her healing, I have to say she's actually a very decent healer even with a sub DPS build, which is another surprise once again. With her team-wide healing, she can easily heal out the lost HP for Furina for full buff very quickly, making this duo an absolute perfect partner for each other. Honestly, this combo is gonna be universally good for almost every DPS in the game, and that means it's time for some team builds. As we know, Escoffier works the best with pure Hydro Cryo team, so let's start with that first. Aside from Furina, who is basically must-have, Yelang and Xingqiu is the only decent sub DPS among the options, so your third slot is gonna be either of them. Now as for the last member, you can practically choose any DPS sub DPS you like, most preferably the Cryo element as it triggers the Cryo resonance for the whole team. Well, I guess no need for me to spell out the answer, right? So until she comes out, all the current freeze teams are more or less equally as strong, with Cryo DPS having more advantage due to the 15% crit rate for the Cryo resonance. But in terms of pure damage, Ayaka is actually the strongest DPS for now. By the way, even for the pure freeze team, sometimes it's a good idea not to exactly obey the rules of Escoffier, but to pair with either Siloning or Kazuha for greater buffs on your DPS. The best example for it is the Neuvillette team, where Escoffier is a far better option than the traditional healer with Baiju or Charlotte, thanks to her sub DPS and the 15% resistance share. Personally, I would say she's on par with Siloning and Kazuha, unless your Neuvillette is extremely well built with Signature and Constellation, or you're out against AoE, but nevertheless Neuvillette is once again having another great teammate. On the other hand, since Escoffier applies Cryo every 2 hits, it's actually pretty viable to play her as a reverse melt sub DPS, and the best team for it is actually the Kinich burning team. Not only Mavuika can easily melt her nuke, but also Escoffier can extinguish the burning, which allows Mavuika to reapply the score of Hero's buff for all 3 elements in the team. And just like Ian-san, this team is not bound by the Spanish circle, which is an absolute blessing for Kinich. Honestly, from now on, this is gonna be my go-to team for him. Now finally at last, you can try playing her as a melt enabler like Silali, but I seriously don't recommend it for few reasons. Not only her buff is much worse than Silali, but also her Cryo application is just barely enough for Arlecchino to melt, leaving you no room for error at all. Just see this example where I did everything right, but still fails to overpower the Pyro. The lack of multiple Cryo application in a quick succession is what makes her bad for this playstyle. Now just for your comparison, this is with Silali with the exact same rotation, and it melts perfectly without any problem at all. On the other hand, things are even worse when paired with Mavuika, as there's zero chance for her to overpower Mavuika's off-field Pyro at all. Escoffier's Cryo application is simply not enough for this. By the way, even if you bring them both together, your Pyro melt still doesn't become any more consistent, as you see for the footage here. So yeah, that's why I don't recommend anyone to pull Escoffier just for melt, as it just doesn't work for the majority of the time. Well anyway, that's basically all you need to know about the free-to-play Escoffier. So personally, in my opinion, although she's a pretty good sub DPS support healer, it's totally clear she's meant for the new character in the next version, as all the team options now are just playable, but not really meta. So unless you are going to pull Skirt in the next version, it's it's best to skip her for the other characters. So what do you think about Escoffier? Please let me know if you have different opinion. Thanks for watching and I'll be seeing you in the next one.